Hello and welcome to our brand new series called Dev Talk, where we talk about Kromlech with the dev team. And today, I'd like to welcome Milan, our UI designer and an actual jack of all trades. Welcome.
Hello there.
So, Milan, how are you holding up? The early access is almost here. I imagine you are very excited and maybe a bit nervous.
Oh, let's say I'm completely okay and fine and calm, but that would be a complete lie. Well, no kidding. The early access is knocking on our doors, and everything is going to be pretty much tense. And I'm sleep deprived for last 3 months, and yeah, but I think it's like not my first crunch.
Not your first rodeo. Can you describe your role in the team? As I mentioned, you're sort of a jack of all trades. You dabble in many aspects of Kromlech. So, which part of your work do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, sure. My role is pretty versatile in the team. I originally came up to help with the UI and UX, but by the time in pre-production, there is no space for such a strict role, so such a strict specializations. I start talking about design. I joined the design team actually, and as a former LARPer and a D&D
Enthusiast.
yeah, uh, it comes natural for me to start writing stories and start to participate in the lore of the game. And after that, with my background in directing, I start um, doing something in voiceover directing. And also as a musician, I brought a band into the project and start doing something about the production of the soundtrack. And also, as time flows, we found out that we need some help in the gameplay setups and in level design and polishing, which actually I found myself
Like, that's your calling. That's your true
yeah.
calling. Okay. So, as I said, you're a man of many talents, but let's stick to the UI for a bit.
Okay.
Uh, as a UI designer, what would you consider the the most important aspect of a good game UI?
Hmm. Well, that's a dangerous and that's a dangerous question for every UI designer, because if I'm going to talk about UI in general, the key aspect or the best UI, not only in games but in games specifically, should be invisible. Let's say something like that, because you need to have the flow. You need to focus and concentrate on the game, not on the UI, not on the screen. I mean, obviously on the screen, but not on the elements. It should be it should be natural. But if you have something like journal or map or booklet, it couldn't be invisible. It now it becomes the part of the flow. It becomes the part of the world telling, and also it defines the visual coherence of the game. So uh, you need to think about all of the aspects of the game, and also when you have something specific, something like, for example, our crisis system or our God's favor system, or many other systems which are not often seen in the games because the Kromlech is multi-genre. So we are using a lot of the systems where I cannot use the best practice approach. So everything in those screens are developed in-house, and you need to think about it from the user experience perspective, prototype it, try it, use it in-house, and it's still like a guess, because
It
you never
hasn't been
know.
done before.
Yeah, it hasn't been done before, and you cannot test it worldwide unless until it's released.
Style wise, Celtic art is rich with elements like knots, spirals, and stuff like that. How do you translate that into the user interface without overwhelming the player?
Okay, so first of all, uh, yeah, you were right about knots and the spirals in the Celtic art, but we are not using um, we're not inspired by like a typical Celtic stuff, which are most of the people are used to, because it's like Ireland Celtic, let's say, something we know from pop culture, from TV, and actually many games, or from Asterix and Obelix, probably. It's the knots and spirals and these motifs, but the visual motifs of the cultures we are using in Kromlech is much older. It comes from Latin art, and it's about floral motifs, about more of a, let's say, prehistorical motifs, but it's not something you can imagine when you say prehistorical. Most of the people will realize like cave paintings, but these are we are using the primal art of the cultures which has been here in Europe for approximately 600 or 1000 to 600 before Christ. And it was pretty advanced, actually. The cultures were not savage and primitive. They have art, they have a lot of art, which is not well known to like the variety of the people.
So, would you say that the art style of Kromlech and all these visual elements should feel pretty original and new to players who are maybe more accustomed to like Vikings or Norse mythology stylization?
I think from the first sight of the game, it could not be mistaken with anything else like people know from the typical stereotype stuff, like as you said or as you mentioned, Vikings or medieval stuff, because it's much older and it's something new. It's something which archaeology brought to us, and most of the people when the people want something from history, they know only this stereotypical approach which Hollywood, for example, brought to us, and they are not used to these like a real history stuff, real history foundings from the ages about 600 years before Christ, for example. And if you see it like a regular normal person, you take it as something exotical. It's something like, wow, what's that? I've never seen stuff like that. They will probably like found out something specific, in their heads. But a lot of the motifs and a lot of the stuff and props we are using are from the real archaeological sites from all around the world, only like slightly modified. So yeah, it's really original and really new to the people who are waiting for stereotypes.
You can also talk a bit about the game's environment. What would you say is the most challenging part of creating a game world?
Yeah. That's a tricky question, because when we first start thinking about making Kromlech, it was like, okay, let's make this map 5 to 5 kilometers, and then we realized like, wow, okay, let's let's use only like quarter of it. So it was like 2 kilometers square, and then we start working on first region. We were like, okay, this will be like 30%. It will be the early access. And then, at the end, we realized it's not only because of the production limits, it's about our own taste and preference for the games with the smaller worlds, but more compact, with the worlds where you can look at every corner and ask yourself, what's there? It's all about immersion. When you look on the open world, wide field, and you see something in the distance, it's nice because it's a nice picture. But when you start going near to it, like heading towards to the point of interest, and you see nothing is there, and you're just walking, it's another walking simulator. So it's better for me personally to build a world where you can wait for every corner and wait to see every corner and wait for a secret behind every of the corner.
Yeah. So you can expect that every piece of the map should have some
Yeah,
meaningful
and also
exploration targets.
yeah, and also the building, the level design of that kind of a map, it's a bit of a tricky, because you are. Uh, it's pretty easy to go to this stereotypical kind of work, like, okay, let's use this tree and this rock again and again, but that's actually exactly what we are trying not to do, because
Hmm.
uh, since we you are limited by the assets you can use, but it's still about the compositions, how to build the compositions, how to make something interesting in the world, remembering pieces of art on every step, on every corner of the map. And also, second thing is the verticality. It was the biggest challenge. Basically, I'm talking about this building map as like if I was there from the beginning. I actually joined the level design team on the very end of the production, but our creative director, Roman Valenta, that's mainly his idea and his work to build all of the map and that way. And the verticality of the map is like, whew, really overwhelming. And it was overwhelming for me, because when I started working, uh, when I offer my help to the polishing level design, I start with the caves, and it was like, wow, I got lost. I found myself lost, like, most of the time, actually. And even now, when I can say I know like every inch of the game, I'm still getting lost somehow. Like, wow, where's this shortcut heading to? Like, oh, okay, I'm here. Oh, okay, well, now I know.
So, would you say that the players will need to learn the map by heart? And
Definitely, but I don't think there will be a problem about it, because, like, honestly, every piece of the map has something which you can remember, which you can something what you can name. Like, this is the rock of, I don't know, for example, Godzilla. This is the inner joke, but we have this specific rock where, from the specific perspective, when you look at it, it looks like a like a silhouette of the Godzilla.
okay.
And it's about creativity. It's on every player, how they approach the map, how they approach the world, how they name it.
Were there any specific tools that you used to make the environment believable and natural?
Oh yeah, sure. Actually, that's one of my other well, I would say specialization, but I'm still learning all of the stuff on the way, and it's pretty much hard. It could sound like I'm some sort of a Renaissance professional, but I'm just a passionate dev who try to got involved in everything. I haven't been involved in all of this stuff just because the team wanted. It was because I want it. I want to be part of it. I want to touch on everything, to try everything. Yeah. So eventually, it came to the point where we kind of ran out of the good assets, and I'm not only talking about assets on a store, but on in-house made assets. And we realized, like, okay, we have plenty of Quixel stuff, we have plenty of photogrammetry assets, but they are not our own. And honestly, a lot of photogrammetry assets has been taken in USA, and we needed our environment, we needed our nature, something you could recognize, because, well, it's a fictional world, but it still has roots in Middle Europe. So we try to rebuild that kind of world. So since in a company we have a camera, and I was like, okay, I'm a amateur photographer, so let's dive into this completely new field of knowledge, which is called photogrammetry. And a colleague of mine, Vitek Kalani, he was also trying something with generating his own 3D assets. So we kind of arranged about trying something, and he sent me some videos, some tutorials. So I tried it, and after a year, we had like uh, I could only guess now, but I think we have like 40 own photogrammetry scans.
Can you talk a bit more specifically about the photogrammetry, about the process? Like, what does it actually entails? What does it mean?
Well, my back hurts a lot. Well, I mean, it's no joke. My back hurts a lot because it's a working in a field in terrain, and you cannot you can pick the things you are scanning with your camera, but you cannot choose the weather. You need to wait for a best weather because you need the weather to be cloudy, but not like dark. So you need specific lighting setup, and you need a polarization filter and a lot of stabilizers and technical stuff like that. And it's not all. You are still like taking hundreds of pictures with a slightly different angle and overlapping from all of the angles. So it needs to be the perfect model, like the perfect thing, for example, ground module with a perfect lighting, perfect weather, and then you need to spend like I don't know, like maybe 20 to 40 minutes on set, and then you have a lot of pictures, and then you went back home and try to make the 3D scan, and you realize, oh wow, okay, so I accidentally took like these 15 blurry pictures, and it's completely ruined. Well, it's not that hard, but for the sake of example. So yeah, it's a hard work, and also a lot of times something looks really good, and you're like, wow, this nice piece of rock assembly is really cool, and I could imagine it in our game. But then, if you have no experiences, if you are starting with the job, everything looks cool, and you're like, wow, okay, let's do this, and then you go through all of the process, and you have the asset, and you put it into the Unreal Engine, and you're like, oh, okay, this is shitty.
Well, yeah.
Like, or this is so unique that we can use it, like one instance. So all of the work was for one model.
But in the end, these are the details that make the game unique
Yeah,
and
yeah.
original. So I think that all the hard work pays off. Uh, Also, about the tools that you guys use, everything about the game is handmade, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. We are not using any AI assets or like anything. Actually, everything is hand painted. All UI is hand painted. Uh, the world is hand built from the photogrammetry assets or in-house made props. And I'm not talking only about environmental props, but like basically everything. And yeah, we are using the Unreal Engine technology PCG, but it generates the debris on the landscape, but it's from our assets, so
Hmm.
it's just like a sprinkle on the top.
You mentioned that you also dabbled in Kromlech's music, and it's actually a big part of the game. So can
Yeah.
you tell us more about that? About the cool band that we have?
Yeah, definitely. The band is called One Tribe, and it's a tribal melodic folk band, originally from Brno. The band actually came up from the project, which was originally based on the LARPing group, LARPing reenactment, which is pretty unique, and they've been reenacting the fictional tribe of the orcs from Lord of the Rings, actually. I know a few of them as the old friends from the LARP or the LARPing era. We've all been into. uh, so I just remember, like, hey, they are actually a cool band doing a really cool like a sound experiments, which we can use in a Kromlech. So we start co-working, and yeah, it was really intense because we wanted to make the adaptive soundtrack for the game, which is not s- something new. A lot of games are using adaptive music since I don't know 90s. This adaptive approach basically means the music reacts on the player uh, inputs. So the magic is actually happening in the sound design studio, and this is something which my colleague Kuba Rehor would talk about rather than me. But from the production side of the soundtrack, it was interesting in the beginning because we were hoping like, okay, so you're a band, so you have experiences with like making albums and the songs, and they started to make songs, and it was like, okay, this is a nice song, but we need the stems, and we need the loopless stems, and we need one drone which plays through all of the song in the same tonality, and it's, yeah, and all of this technical stuff start to backfire us, and we eventually realized that we need to scratch a lot of the work and start again over and over. And eventually, now they're actually working in the same pipeline as they got used to. So they're making the songs, but recursively we are rebuilding the songs into the stems. And hey, it was hard to learn the way. But now I can say we have a really nice and unique music, which I'm proud of.
Connected to the music and sound design is the voice acting. And I know that we actually have a very cool feature. We have our very own language. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass. It was a nice idea on a start, and actually, I'm still convinced it's a good idea. Uh, Again, not only because of production limits, but you have this conlang, or we have this conlang, which actually the main singer of the band, which are involved in the soundtrack, uh, she built the language from the scratch. And the language is based on the Proto-Celtic old languages, but it's completely our own. It's completely like written by hand, and uh, I have been directing the voice acting or voiceovers for the game, and it was really hard to learn experience because we realized on the recording sessions that you need to, besides of the directing, like the real directing, the telling the telling the actors to get emotions into it, you are mostly like trying to control the pronunciations and the grammar and all of the stuff. And since the creator of the language is there as well, so we were like, okay, let's try not to say kracht but krocht. Yeah, they're really really small details, but in the end, when I saw it in the game, when I saw all of these bees working together, I realized, wow, okay, it makes sense because now we have several different voices speaking this language, and if the words are correct, you can recognize them. And maybe we are hoping that some psycho gamer will eventually try to translate it.
And recreate the
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll see. That's a challenge for you players. So keep your ears peeled. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the game's lore a little bit. So we already established that Kromlech has these very important Celtic influences from Middle to Eastern European cultures, but it's also set in the sword and sorcery genre. How do these things fit together?
Actually, pretty well, because the times we are inspired by were pretty rough, as much as we know, and it was like a lot of heroic characters and a lot of battles, uh, a lot of good, a lot of big deeds. Which is actually the exact thing which this genre of swords and sorcery based on. So uh, if you look on the old myths from the old Celts, actually not from the Celts we are inspired by, because the Celts didn't have the literal culture. They only have the bards and the songs and these kind of stuff. So all we know about the Celts from those ages were from the Roman scripts. So we can trust them or we cannot. But the truth is, the ages were pretty intense, and you can use, for example, Celts love uh, Celts love to collect the skulls of the enemies, and not only of the enemies. There are rumors that in some parts of the Europe, the skulls was used as a currency. So yeah, I think it fits to the genre pretty well because, as you can see, the biggest example or the best example is the Conan the Barbarian, and it was pretty rough. A lot of skulls and stuff like that. So yeah.
So, in the game, do we actually use the real Celtic mythology or anything that we know about it, or do we have our own? Did we create our own mythology?
Okay, the game is fully fictional. I mean, the lore of the game is fully fictional. So we are not using anything strictly came from any real mythology or real mythology. But there are big influences. For example, one of our gods, it's called Lugas, uh, which the name of the god came from the real, well, real, from the real made god, Celtic god called Lug. So these type of a hints, let's say, yeah, we have them, but mostly like everything is influenced, but nothing is real. For example, we are not using any specific name of the war chief or anything like that.
What is your personal favorite part of Kromlech, or maybe what you personally are the most proud of?
Well, I need to I need to think about that a little bit because uh, as I see Kromlech, it's a really specific multi-genreal mix, and it's a really complex game actually. And specifically for me, I'm a big and huge fan of the RPG games, especially old RPG games, which have this like a no guiding by the hand, you know. And you need to find out about everything by your own. You need to explore. I'm much of an explorative person. So for me, the aspect which I'm really enjoying now when I'm testing the game, when I'm playing it all over and over again, that's the spirit. I would say the spirit, because every time when I hit play, even in build or in editor, I got dragged into the game somehow, and I am the author. And it could be because we made the game for ourselves, because we need a game which we really like, uh, which we really want to play, and it was no game such as that on the market. But the spirit of the genre is there. I think it's there. Even if we have these roguelite elements, I don't see them that much important, you know. We have this meta progress stuff and everything and the complex systems, but I got dragged by the quest. I've got dragged by the narrative and the immersion of the world. And actually the explorative part of the of the map is really dragging me into the secrets.
What would you like to tell the players before they enter the land called Kvern?
Stay strong and be patient. And there are a lot of the secrets awaits you in the world of Gwern. Nothing is the same as it looks to be when you're repeating the cycle. So focus on details. And so welcome to the Gwern and the magnificent land of the wonders, and enjoy your stay.
Thank you for your time, Milan.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. Remember, Kromlech Early Access comes out March 5th, 2026. Wishlist now.